Thanks to the organizer for inviting me for this keynote lecture. I'm coming now to my presentation on the religious world of guthis, more specifically among Jyapus. I have been undertaking anthropological research in Nepal since the early 1970s. Over these past 5 decades, I have devoted most of my time to studying Newah culture and society, learning Nepal Bhasa, and conducting case studies in several villages and towns of the Kathmandu Valley. Traditional Newah society is mainly organized according to the Hindu caste system and is scattered over towns and rural villages. It is culturally very diverse. Since the beginning, I have deliberately chosen to lay emphasis on the social organization and religious practices of Jyapu farmers. I carried out various periods of fieldwork among this community. Jyapus, one of the largest castes among the ethnic group in question, display strong indigenous features, somewhat different from upper castes, whether Hindu or Buddhist. They can be considered the backbone of Newah agriculture, and nowadays, one of the foremost Newah groups fighting for indigenousness. I will restrict my lecture to these Jyapu farmers, both urban and rural. It is a well-known fact that these agriculturists gradually give up their farming activities over the last 3 decades and turn to new economical sectors. Yet their former way of life and their vernacular religion have not been totally abandoned and are still of great importance for understanding the Newah cultural heritage. I have chosen 3 themes on which I conduct fieldwork. First of all, I will be discussing the role of music in Jyapu farmers' urban social environment, especially in the old town of Kathmandu. Then I will shift to mask dances and Jyapu religious choreographic groups, both in villages and city. And lastly, I will talk about the social religious organization of Jyapu villages, mostly those in Lalitpur, Jala. These 3 issues are related to guthi social groupings, most of which are involved in religious matters. Guthis prevail in most Newah castes and are an original feature of this ethnic group. Yet, those of Jyapus are mostly compulsory group for all grown-up male individuals and are at the core of their social rules, whether those of other castes tend to be optional and do not have the same social importance as those of Jyapu's farmers, save perhaps those related to funerals. I have already dealt with this guthi in a previous lecture entitled From Kin to Caste in 2005. I showed how guthi associations are crucial among Newah people and how they are specific to this ethnic group. My focus was on the sociological aspect of guthi. Today, I want to propose a fresh perspective. The main point I want to explore is the inner religious world of these organizations. So the first theme, therefore, concerns music, especially drum playing among the Jyapu community. Maybe some of you know that Jyapu farmers of the old Kathmandu city are divided among 32 neighborhoods, tol, toa, in Nepal Bhasa. Each of these tols corresponds to a specific social unit, a toa guthi, to which all the local Jyapu farmers are compulsory members. It is prohibited to marry within this social grouping that is in one's toll. Toll, toa, social territorial units are linked with music and more particularly with these double-headed drums called dime in Nepal Bhasa, which are played on festival occasions. The importance of playing the dime drums with cymbals by male Jyapus is remarkable. Its apprenticeship is compulsory among youngsters and is finalized by a very important initiation ritual called Wala Tsonegu, specific to the Jyapu of Kathmandu Old City. You cannot be recognized as a full member of the Jyapu Toa if you have not went through such training. The apprenticeship is accompanied with the learning of acrobatic postures and maneuvering dunya pole decorated with yak tail. As in India, acrobatics performances are here associated with the cult of Hanuman. Let us come more closely to the religious content of Kathmandu, of this Jyapu of Kathmandu. Here, Nasadyah, the Newah god of music, is all-important but somewhat enigmatic deity. In contemporary Hindu terms, the god is identified with Nvetinath. Shiva has a lot of dance. But his cult, his worship, comprise a number of elements linked to this Hindu deity or to Bhairava. In some shrines associated with the former Mala royalty, the god is even embodied in iconic Shaiva statues in accordance with iconographic precepts. On some Nasadyah altars, one can see Ganesh and Kumar, the two sons of Lord Shiva. Similarly, Nasadyah is represented as Shiva on curtains that are sometimes put up during religious theater or dance performance. He is flanked by two divine drummers, Chingini and Dyagini, who belong to Shiva retinue. Yet, the Newah god of music and theater is generally represented by one or three openings of triangular or rectangular shape in the walls of his dedicated altar or in other walls of other deities. These cavities may be found most often in sets of three. From these holes, Nasadyah divine energy flows from one place to another, always in a straight direction, following invisible lines that must never be obstructed. This shapeless god plays a prominent role in Newah religion, especially among Jyapu farmers. In the old town of Kathmandu, each Jyapu neighborhood, Twa, is associated with a Nasadyah sanctuary, more often than not situated in an obscure place. Like Ganesh sanctuaries, these small shrines are the symbolic pillars of the social-religious life in these neighborhoods. They are often decorated with buffalo horns. The musicians have to benefit from his powers because the quality of the musical performance depends entirely on this god. Without Nasadyah, no music is possible. These features do not belong to the Sanskritic tradition from very far. Such vernacular elements are omnipresent in the Jyapu farmer community. According to a Newah legend recounted by the Jyapu of Kathmandu, Nasadyah himself comes from a specific place in Nepal, Kapilas, which is situated along the road to Trisuli, about 30 kilometers from the capital, outside the Kathmandu Valley itself. Another legend recounts Nasadyah raped a local Tamang girl walking in a field near Kapilas. From this sexual union, a boy was born. While caring about who should take care of this boy, the parents decided to divide the boy into two. The father took the skeleton and the mother took the boneless part of the body. Interestingly, this symbolic opposition between the bone and flesh is common to both Nepalese and Indian indigenous groups. Now I'm coming to my second theme. Mask dance is one of the most peculiar features of Newah culture. It is widespread within all castes, but more particularly among peasants and gardeners. These dances, which are for the most part religious in character and linked with the cult of specific deities, are not unknown in India, especially in Bengal. Their links with Tibetan culture also should be noted. As a matter of fact, they may belong to a more global Himalayan tradition. Religious dramas, Dio Pyakhan or Dio Kwapa Pyakhan, in which the dancers incarnate sets of divinities, mainly Hindus, are the most religious among Newah mask dance and do not include any dialogues. This sacred drama, sometimes derived from old Mala plays, mainly focus on battles between gods and demons, Daitya. The issue at stake is the establishment or the re-establishment of Dharma, of the cosmic order. By the end of the sword dance, the gods invariably overcome the demons. Dances are performed one or twice a year at festive time on an open stage, tabu, in the street. They are linked to the worship of local Hindu and Buddhist deities. Interestingly, the group of masked dancers form a secluded guthi association made up of 20 to 50 male members, always in a fixed number. This pyakhan guthi, as it is called, is a sort of secret society with its own strict rules. It is restricted to tantric initiate male persons among Jyapus, young and less young, to which one has access through male descent, normally from father to his elder son. The repartition of the different divine characters also is inherited in agnatic line. The guthi is held by elders and a master of dance, pyakhan guru, who direct rehearsals and outside performance. The apprenticeship of this dance is pervaded with numerous rituals and animal sacrifice to deities. Here also, Nasadyah deity prevails. In fact, it is this god who provides the masked dancer the grace, the power, the knowledge of dancing in a religious and artistic way. I would like to focus in the second part of my lecture on the special Newah custom, which is associated with these guthis. The consumption of the head of the sacrificial animal, in Newari it is called Sikabhu or Sikabhu, and during which the head of the animal, a goat generally, is divided into 8 parts and eaten in a fixed order among the 8 male members of the guthi. These elders, takali, preside over most religious affairs and are consulted at every critical moment in the life of the group. They are the de facto headmen of the Jyapu local social unit and wearing white turbans on ritual occasions. This custom is observed in a number of ritual performances, for instance, among Jyapu farmers of Kathmandu, when they worship Nasadyah. It is also performed by most Newah castes when worshipping Digudeo, lineage family deity, during death guthi, shiguthi gatherings, and local festival, Dejatra. The head, first offered to the concerned deity, is here consumed as prasad because it is the most important part of the body. Shrestas also practice Sikabhu during Dasain, local festival, Dejatra, as well as during rites of passage like marriage, Kaita Puja, or whenever a goat is sacrificed during Upita Puja. The situation is more complex in Kathmandu and Lalitpur Bars. Though Sikabhu is not a Buddhist ritual and is not based on a Buddhist religious text, Sakyas and Vajrashaya used to observe it in ancient time during familial feasts and other occasions, not only for the clients, but also for themselves. Today, the custom is on the wane. Many families have abandoned this Sikabhu tradition. Vajrashaya priests view today this practice as an old influence of Hinduism, a sign of ignorance. It is disappearing gradually. This type of sacred banquet is imbued with hierarchy, male dominance over women, secrecy, prominence of senior people, takali, animal sacrifice, and meat eating. These features are all emblematic of the Newah cultural heritage. I consider Sikabhu as a very important element of this sacred religious realm of guthi. It amounts to a communion with the spirit of the slain animal and to its incorporation in the social body of the village or the town, which echoes other indigenous religions of Southeast Asia. I'm coming now to my third topic about the Shiguthi among Jyapu villages and religious landscape. Jyapu villages of the Kathmandu Valley are extremely clustered and possess well-marked boundaries, at least traditionally. These settlements are mostly non-ethnically mixed and very often single-caste settlements. These features differentiate immediately Newah settlements from the current situation in India, where multi-caste villages are the norm. Jyapu localities have high endogamous rates. In Pyangaon, the first village where I undertook fieldwork, it is even forbidden to marry outside the settlement. In most cases, these villages are placed under the protection of a tutelary deity. The priests of these temples belong themselves to Jyapu caste. In some cases, as in Tetso, Lalitpur Jala village, the upper and the lower parts, Kwe and Tue, lower parts of the locality, are each protected by a specific goddess deity. The main festival of the community, Dejatra or Mugjatra, is itself linked to the celebration of this patron deity. The unity of the village is therefore reinforced by the worship of mutual gods, including more often than not the common Nasadyah, the local god of music, and a John Ganedio. In these Jyapu rural localities, death and cremation associations, Shiguti or Sanaguti, are the key social units of the village structure. They are mostly connected with death procession and funerary rites. They are not very differentiated from kinship units and generally form an exogamic group. Each has a specific house, guthi, for their ritual activities. What is more, these units are linked to the celebration of the local main deity, male or female, and to the celebration of the Deshjatra. Funerals, protection of the locality, and prosperity are therefore totally linked. The membership of these units is inherited through agnatic line and is compulsory. It is restricted to male. You have to be affiliated to one Shiguti, Sanaguti, to be considered as a full member of the village. Therefore, the social links around soils are closely related to the celebration of mortuary rites, funerary rites. The affiliation of a person to a given territorial unit, tool or village, depends explicitly on the membership to a specific local funeral group. Some members of Shiguti associations are particularly attached to a Chidio, a form of Bhairava mostly, which rules over matters related to death. This deity is usually represented by a non-carved stone. Women and small children are not allowed to touch him. Death groups are therefore secret society impregnated with sacramental values, a mystical community to which other members cannot participate and even watch their ritual practices. Here, death, Bhairava, and Chidyo are at the core of the religious stream. These features, according to me, are key components of Newah cultural peasant religion. Now I'm coming to my conclusion. The religious world of the Jyapu farmers that I have explored in the preceding pages, particularly Nasadyah, Sikabhu, and Shiguti, is pervaded with secrecy, hidden sacred paraphernalia, powerful deities ruling over the humans, meat and alcohol consumption, identification to deities, sacramental social groups, and sacred affinity among the meat eaters sharing food. All these elements are basic ingredients of Jyapu religion. Ritual experts are needed to perform rituals, but these priests do not come from the Brahmanical or Buddhist higher world. They are driven from within Jyapu community itself. More often than not, rituals are not completed without Sanskrit written guides. How to understand this popular vernacular religion? It is not possible to oppose a village to urban religions. Jyapus, as it is known, live since long in villages as well in cities in Kathmandu Valley. And caste is also present in both types of settlements. It is true that in the village, in the cities, caste is more developed than in village. But anyway, caste is present in both types of settlements. My suggestion is that Jyapu's guthis religion leads us towards the autochthonous, indigenous aspect of Newah cultural heritage. Of course, Jyapu religion encompasses other performance and beliefs, La Fonegu, Kaita Puja, Fufayagu, construction of stupa in the stole, and so forth. Yet guthi elements described above are prominent features. In my opinion, we are facing here a vernacular religion much more than the orthodox Hindu Sanskrit world. We are also far from monastic Mahayana Buddhism. The Jyapu religion's heritage is located somewhere else. It is as much connected with Hinduism than with the world of Indian tribes and Nepalese Janjati ethnic groups. Of course, as we saw, these elements exist also among other Newah castes. However, they are much more in evidence among Jyapu farmers. This substrate has been downplayed over the last decades, more often because Hinduism and Buddhism are more prestigious to refer to than to these indigenous features. Yet, this genuine cultural heritage should not be forgotten. In succinct terms, Newah culture can be defined as the outcome of two different but complementary processes. In the first place, a process of Indianization, caste system, Hindu pantheon, religion and legal concepts, but also Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhist textual tradition, which starts in the Chavi period. Nepal Valley, Nepal Mandala, has often been described as a conservatory of Indian Mahayana Indian origin of the early medieval period before Muslim invasions in the Indian subcontinent. A second process arose over years. The vernacularization, synonym of indigenization of this Indian heritage in consonance with the local cultural substrate. Hindu and Mahayana, Vajrayana borrowings are obvious and well documented. Yes, these features have been absorbed, sometimes to less extent than among upper caste. They are in some way they have been Newarized. Therefore, both the study of this Indianization and of its local adaptation within Kathmandu Valley are necessary to ponder Newah culture and the various processes of acculturation which here are at stake. It is impossible to understand this Himalayan civilization without stressing this Indian background. Yet, tracing influence to classical and Sanskritic India is not enough. One needs also to explain why Newah or ancestor of Newah have adopted such and such elements and how they have incorporated them into their own genuine culture. These three socio-religious themes that I investigated in this paper were more probably shaped by this double movement of Indianization and Newarization or vernacularization, and this Indian background is omnipresent, starting with the term guthi, which is derived from the Sanskrit word goshti, in existence in Kathmandu Valley since the Lichavi time, and designated land whose income is allocated to religious purpose, and the staff assigned for its administration. Newah adopted the word, but as I showed in this lecture, they give to this word a very totally different content. Well, thank you. My paper is over. I wish you a very fruitful seminar. I will follow also some part of it. Thank you.